Clara Reed. Chapter 17, Braxton Marsh. You had an awkward encounter with the Minotaur you robbed on the way to Lord Braxton's soiree. Once you arrived, it took some work to track down Zora. Before you could get any real answers, Ivana interrupted and the two of them slipped into the shadows. You harry the madam and her compatriot's steps. Your attire is not made for this dewy, sedgy marsh, but you press on all the same. The vestiges of urbanity fall away, despite your nearness to the opulent manor house. Tall thistles catch on your stately dress as you chase the pair, but you will not be swayed, and at last, the underbrush gives way to an empty expanse. Two dark silhouettes are just visible as you arrive. In this last of meeting places, perhaps you will finally find the answer you seek. Okay. Oh, we are walking on our own? There you go. Or maybe is she covering up for her murders? That's also a possibility. Huh. Clara, my dear, you really shouldn't be here. What a shame. Calm yourself, Ivy. Shh. Sora, what's all this? That's just what was said to poor Ariana, wasn't it? Saints, is that Ivana? She's torn her signature waistcoat to shreds. I'll go with the second one. Oh, a clever one, I see. There's a genuine spark of interest in her eye, though it's impossible to know if I've gotten it very wrong or very right. That's not it. In point of fact, what was said to Ariana, and for what it's worth, I'll be sadder to... that is not, in point of fact, what was said to Ariana, and for what it's worth, I'll be sadder to see you go than I was with her. Now, which one actually does the killing? I mean, I don't know who... I mean, they're in cahoots, that's obvious, but I don't know who wields the weapons. It looked werewolf-ish, but she could fake that probably as well. Or maybe they're both. Maybe they're working together in the murders themselves. Themselves, like ganging up on people, 2 against 1, and stuff like that. Let's accuse Madame Zora. You were the courtesan killer all along? I've no idea what you're talking about, my dear. There is laughter in her eyes. It was Sykes, that contemptible cove, or perhaps Ivana here, quite a beastly thing when the moon is full. Traitor. Regardless, it's too late by half. What a loss. First poor Ariana, and now you, Miss Reed, one of Arya's best friends in London. That was most certainly not a veiled threat. I'll need to brace for whatever is coming. Dodge. Good. I avoid Ivana's first strike, but she rounds on me again, pinning me to the ground. By goals, Clara, I didn't know what's got into her. She's like a wild animal. Ivana could puncture my skull from this position, but her claws are merely resting there. Ivy, kill her. She's a danger to us both. Kill. She's loosening her grip, slowly lifting her weight off of me. Ivana looms large and panting beside Sora, but for some reason, she's allowed me to my feet. Blasted savage curse, these animals can't be trusted to do anything, but it hardly matters. When the transformation reaches its final stage, Ivana will lose whatever mental faculties remain. And tear me limb from limb while you stand idly by? Precisely, but if you prefer, I could kill you now to spare you the pain. Do we try the Derringer again? I might have to fire a shot at Madame Sora, but I need to make sure that I catch her off guard for now. I better keep her talking. Just how would you kill me? You don't seem to be armed. How can you risk being so close to Ivana in such a state? Let's ask about that. I have nothing to fear, Miss Reed. Ivana will not harm me. Ivana's form tenses above me. At this distance, I feel more than hear the vibrations of a rumbling growl. Regrettable as the transformation may be, Ivana is no base animal. She's above such things. She has never harmed me while transformed. She, unlike so many degenerates, is faithful to her family, even when pressed. I found your letter. You're both from Pruslavia. You and Ivana both. Or you two are family then. That much I knew, but the specifics of your past elude me. I find your letter. We are cousins, raised together, thick as thieves. And Gwen? Who was that again? Gwen Saney, a recent victim. Right. Ariana's little friend? She knew too much. It would have been impossible to do what needed to be done with my past following me to London. I thought the Thames would do enough to hide the evidence. It very nearly did. What about Rachel Nichols? Who? Horrific. She doesn't... does she even know how many she's killed? She was a washerwoman, sleeping rough when she was killed. How was she a threat? Oh, her. A simple mistake, I'm afraid. She surprised me in the dark, but it did present a fine opportunity. Rather than a poor woman drinking herself to an ignominious death, I was able to make it look like the work of a mad werewolf, and got a pretty penny for the organs too. Mention the prison cell? I found your private prison cell at your flat on Cable Street. Sneaking around, Miss Reed? How rude of you. Surely, now that you've seen Ivana's condition, you know what I use it for. You keep her captive in there then, every 3 weeks around the full moon? Not captive, safe. It's far better lodging than those ghastly containment camps. Ivana deserves better than that. Why Ariana? What did the poor girl do to you? She put the same clues together that you did. Simple as that. She went looking for the whereabouts of an old friend of hers. Poor Ariana, curious to the last. She confronted me, and I was forced to silence her. She would have been wiser to leave well enough alone. Let's ask her something else. Let's tell her about the locket. I found a locket in your desk with the image of a child. Who was Damian Levitch? I worry for a moment that I've pushed this too far. Sora looks at me with fiery hatred, but she answers all the same. Damian was my son, lost to the barbarity of my unfortunate homeland Pruslavia. Ivana growls, eyes aglow with a strange clarity. Like myself, my son refused the bite when he came of age. You kept him from it. Suddenly Ivana's voice is clear and articulate. I saved him from a lesser life. A life of chaos every 3 weeks beneath the moon. A life of stinking animal impulse. Madame Sora's pale cheeks take on some color, while Ivana seems to get ever more restless. We had power. We had nobility, even after his father's death. Yet my reward was to have my son taken from me by the jaws of a beast. They didn't know that he hadn't taken the bite. We had no reason to tell them. What business was it of my peers if we refused the bite? It was your fault. Those animals were supposed to avoid my property upon the full moon, but they didn't know. Didn't know the risk. Didn't know he was only a human child. And so when they trespassed, they attacked my boy Damian and took his life. How should I be at fault for the behavior of savages? Damian died because of you. This is getting out of hand, but with Sora distracted, now's the time to strike. Draw the gun. That's quite the weapon, but you must know that Ivana will slaughter you if you so much as twitch. So even if you killed me, you'd be right on my heels all the way down to Hades. Sora's eyes are filled with a terrible burning rage. Ivana will do as she's told. She will listen to her cousin, her kin, and do away with this insufferable trollop, Clara Reed. Grrr. Ivana, attack, you stupid inhuman beast. Oh, talking to her like that I think might turn out to be a bad idea. No kill. This dratted curse, it gives the body a supernatural strength, but it weakens the mind. Ivana, attack her, you bloody animal. In a flash of fur and teeth, the towering creature springs to life. I brace myself for an attack that never comes. Ivana rushes at the madam instead, knocking Sora to the ground, and her claws find purchase on Zora's leg. Ah! Okay. We are not content or worse. Say nothing, allowing Ivana to proceed. Intuition Chameleon tried to settle her down as if she were a misbehaving dog, or persuade Ivana to stop by appealing to her human sensibilities. You know what? I don't really mind failing that one. If Sora gets it, then she gets it. Well, I guess we succeed anyways. That's fine by me. Ivana, she's not worth it. Stop and I'll make sure she's put away. Ivana looks back at me. I think I'm getting through to her. Ivana, that's enough for now. Ivana gets to her feet and I'm face to face with a werewolf that is keen on violence, even when enacted on her own cousin. She is still, save for the occasional twitch of her ears. Ivana, it'll be okay. But Ivana spins on Sora, too fast for Mai to follow. She lifts her into the air like a child's toy. There is an awful thud as she lands and Sora goes quiet and still. The instant Sora goes limp, Ivana backs off. The great wolf stands there, hot breath misting. We size each other up in the quiet of the marsh, and for just a moment I'm able to collect my thoughts. Okay, and she rushes off. Without warning, Ivana's gaze breaks away and she sprints off into the fog. 1 second. What's that? Footsteps? No, hoofbeats. Approaching from the manor. Ah, good thing it's Ives and not a regular cop. Miss Reed, Clara, are you alright? Ives? Saints, what took you? My apologies. I left as soon as a passing servant informed me of your departure, and these hooves are not made for mud. He is relieved to have found me well, though his strict decorum would never allow it to show. Where's Miss Orsini? What happened to her? Ivana transformed and fled into the woods. I'm afraid there is an errant werewolf loose upon the grounds at the moment. Then Miss Orsini? Let's explain things. Indeed, Ivana Orsini is a werewolf. She is also innocent in the mantle of the court killer. That honor goes to this wretch, I'm afraid. Madame Sora is still quite unconscious, lying limply in the dirt. 1 second, my throat is acting up. 1 second. Lying limply in the dirt. It would be wise to restrain her before she comes to. Then it was not Sykes at all. I cannot say I'm surprised. There were far too many questions left unanswered, and it was too easy by half to levy the blames upon a werewolf. Suggest Ivana might be willing to testify. Speaking of werewolves, it would not surprise me if Ivana Orsini would be willing to testify against her cousin once she returns to human form. She might cut a deal, if not with the Bobbies, then with your patrons perhaps. I'll make a note of it, and send agents out to find her first thing in the morning. It has been an exhausting night, and my entire body aches, but at least the killer has been caught. Alright, if you take these cuffs and restrain the madam, we might sling her over my back, and take her back to the manor proper. My people are waiting on the grounds to take her from us. Ives pauses and looks at me keenly for a moment. Now that all is over, Miss Reed, I must ask you, what do you have to say about the killer? She's a monster, she has a point, I understand why she did it, but I fully condemn her actions. 1 second. She's a monster. Killing all those people, and what for? Werewolves are far less dangerous than a human with a vendetta. I quite agree. So, what now? You said you had people waiting on the grounds? Once we've dealt with the madam, I'm quite sure the next move will present itself. And the end of this longest of nights, one way or another. Okay. Courtesan killer. Court. Children begin by loving their parents. After a time, they judge them. Rarely, if ever, do they forgive them. Atticus Daily. Braxton Manor proved to be an arduous challenge, but you behaved like a gentleman, which is all a Minotaur could ask. You now know that the guest house has a resolution you've been seeking. The manor moves with a life of its own. Oh, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. No need to say that again. We are here. Glad to be out of that basement. Now, what's this? Looks like a few folks hanging about out there. And with Molly gone, I just need to get to the bottom of whatever other terrible business is at hand. You're getting close, Atticus. Hurry! I have a theory. It might be completely wrong or off base. But is like, since our mother seems to be, how do I put this, correctly? I don't quite know the good term there. She seems to be, she doesn't seem to be conscious in a way, like, because of medical conditions. Maybe the old crone is her, like, talking to us with her body being, vacant of her. That would be, it's not an unheard of trope, but I think that could be the case. It might be completely wrong, who knows? But that's one thing I want to say out loud before we get to the resolution there. Close to what? Hurry, before... Silence. Before what, damn it? Before the procedure begins and her mind might be destroyed? Something like that? Do I want to talk to the people? Do I need to? Tessica, Lincoln, and Willard Rathbone probably don't have anything too important to say. I like Tessica, I don't like Rathbone, so let's go to the guest house. I don't think there's any need to talk to them about this. We should rush. I mean, the old crone told us to. Yes, that's the same text again. Okay. I'm not sure what lies ahead, but I have a feeling it could be violent. This is my chance to put an end to all of this. Let's go in there. Is Teddy here? Oh, my boy, my darling boy. You're here finally. I just said it. I know people probably just had that in mind earlier, and it's an idea I had, but I wasn't confident enough in it to say it because I didn't really know what the state of his mother was. But with all those points connecting, I kind of assumed that was gonna be it. That voice, it's the voice in my head, but it's coming from inside this room. It's her. But I'm the only one who can hear her, even here. Her voice is coming to me directly from her mind. She's been with me all this time. The old crone is my mother. Hello. You don't work for me, do you? I find Molly's goons all look more or less the same. There's a dwarf with metal jaw parts. I'm a big-ass Minotaur. What the hell are you talking about? Who's that over there? Better have a word with him. No, I'm not one of Molly's lackeys. I'm here to free my mother. Lord Braxton, I presume, Atticus Dalian. No, I do not work for Molly. Threaten Silas with the same fate as Molly. I'm not one of Molly's lackeys. I'm here to free my mother. Your mother? But I was told this vegetable, woman had no such attachments. That, along with her mental conditions, is why she was chosen. I intend to mend her fractured mind just as soon as... the blustery fellow trails off as if he's lost the plot. No, fire and thunder. I won't be able to proceed without Molly's delivery. Waiting on Miss Molly to come through here, come through for you, I? Boy, have I been there. Without that vial from Molly, this bright dream is over. But no, I will never surrender my ambitions simply because fate has put an obstacle in my way. A cyclops of my stature, keep rambling if you want, but I'm going to tend to my mother now. Okay. Atticus, thank the fates that you reached me in time, before that maniac could cut me open. Yes, mother, I'm here now, but it all feels like a dream. It's really me, Atticus. You're not dreaming, nor am I. But because of my condition, I cannot move my lips or utter words. We can only go on speaking telepathically. I understand, but it's still better than not speaking with you at all. My darling Atticus, I never thought I would see you again. Mother, why did you have to abandon me? I'm sorry, sweet child, but your father forced me. You never knew him, but he was a statesman and a politician. He couldn't have it slip that he had a Minotaur child. It would have ruined his career. Like myself, he must have cast an illusion to conceal his true form. Wait, I remember something. My ring. Do you have it by chance? I do, Mother. Here you go. My ring. Oh, Atticus, I knew you'd find and hold on to it. Same way I held on to hope that I find you. Her body remained still as I slipped the ring onto her finger. I bet she'd have cried tears of joy were she able to. My mother loved me deeply, but she had to give me up. The fear and turmoil she went through must be felt as my own, so that I can understand. The anger that has led me to so many of my decisions. It was a bitter wind that left me on the doorstep of the Sacred Heart. I know that you came back for me. Yes, but I was dragged from the Sacred Heart when I arrived to retrieve you by a terrible man, the same man your father hired to crush his political rivals. I must feel the anger and fear that she felt on the day, so that I won't absorb it and continue to feel it as my own. I mustn't repeat the cycle. Forgiving her is the only way to save myself. I forgive her, of course. Mother, it's okay, I forgive you. I'm just glad we can be together now. Task complete. People. I was wondering why I couldn't continue. Oh, it's the masked stranger. Here we are at last, and not too late, I hope. If you haven't yet been acquainted, this is Dr. Wainwright. Strike me blind, I hadn't figured there was an operating theatre in here. I know you were nervous about snooping around the manor looking for your patients, but aren't you glad I convinced you to come? Oh, that I am. But what an awful sight this is, poor Matilda. As for your guests, Lord Braxton, I fear they won't be joining us. Lady Braxton was decidedly in her cups and failed to bring them here. Whatever the stranger did to get Dr. Wainwright to follow him, he did so with enchanting authority. Like when he woke me up in Beggar's Lane, he seems to readily mystify people into action. By the fates, this machinery is terribly complex and terribly unsafe. What was he about to do to my patient? I was about to make scientific history, that's what. Curses! This isn't how it should have gone, and there's not even an audience to see it. What about us? We're quite special people. I should have known I couldn't count on my wife to corral the guests. She's never without a drink in hand. Probably she fell into the roses again. Old chap, I certainly won't advise you on your marriage, but it's not all bad. You found a compelling application for the serum. Gentlemen, I have to say, my formula is not yet entirely stable. Not to worry, good doctor. It's in the 99th percentile. That's enough for Queen and Country. My research, the core, I won't let you steal it from me. Do you mean the research that you and Molly stole from Dr. Wainwright? I thought as much when your investors find out how far you've strayed from your promises, legally binding ones. You will be in very deep water indeed. It was necessary to harvest the blood of an active werewolf. Without it, the serum was terribly unreliable. That's right. You need to use activated blood for the serum to stabilize. But you can't just kidnap people like Sykes and Matilda to achieve your aims. I only wanted a human subject in whom to install the core. Yes, and that may happen in the future, because the determination core is indeed a fine invention, but we'll take it from here. Who does he mean by we? It sounds like the Queen herself has put her trust in the stranger, at least in regards to tracking down cutting-edge research chemicals derived from the blood of werewolves. Silas, we'll deal with you momentarily, once my good friend Ives arrives, and don't get any ideas, or I'm happy to put a bullet through that boiler on your conveyance. You're full of steam, and bloody mad besides. As for Matilda Daly, it was a chancy thing for a while, but she will survive. I suppose he thinks himself rather high and mighty, seeing as he was right about my mother being alive. And Mr. Daly, that was quite a timely entrance. Whatever your flaws, I dare say you delivered in the end. Pretty compliments mean less than a bent farthing to me. Why in blazes are you here, and how are you involved in this awful mess? An excellent question, which I shall answer in due course. But first, my sincere congratulations on rescuing your mother. Most impressive and most unexpected. I don't see what it has to do with you, but yes, fine. Now explain your role in all this. Or, I don't believe I like the sound of that. Did you know about all this, that my mother was in danger? I'll go with the first one. I stand before you as a representative of the crown, that is to say, Her Majesty the Queen. Sounds like we're poised for a most lucrative offer. You know what? Let's ask to see behind the mask. How about a peek behind that mask of yours, eh? At least tell me your name. Revealing something about yourself would go a long way towards earning a bit of trust. A bully to that. Ask not for my name or face, for I've surrendered both as part of my calling, and we shall truck in neither. To do business. Okay. Trust, rather, in what I represent, the wisdom and the will of Her Royal Highness. That fellow certainly has a knack for talking in circles. I wonder if he's ever served in Parliament. I know that you shared a certain book with Miss Nandi Mabaso. You strike me as a student of magic willing to share arcane knowledge with others and leverage it for the greater good. But how? Unless he and Miss Mabaso are acquainted? I wouldn't be surprised. Her Majesty's Secret Service is in need of good mages, but you've got to focus on honing your abilities. Perhaps after hearing my proposal, you'll be intrigued to study with some of Britain's finest. Very well, carry on. I don't wish to belabor my introduction, but I work for an organization called the Sovereign Syndicate. Well, we handle unsavory tasks in Her Majesty's hand, in which Her Majesty's hand must remain unseen. Unsavory tasks. That's the first thing coming out of his gob that I don't doubt in the slightest. And the reason I am here is to gather all my agents, witting and otherwise, in one place. I have chosen you, Atticus, and a few others yet to arrive, to collaborate with me on a very important mission. A few others? Don't know if I should take solace in the knowledge that I'm not his sole quarry. I must say, you rescuing the orphans from the basement has showed me both selflessness and bravery. Even a souse like me wouldn't dare to look the other way. They needed help. Souse is a drunkard, okay. I have to respectfully disagree with you on that. Alcohol has a way of dulling one's sense of empathy. But you don't have any qualms with opium, do you? Well, it serves a purpose, as I'm sure you recall from the dream you had in the Red Lotus. Perhaps he's right, everything in moderation. I'll admit that I've no clue what you told the Dawson twins in Surrey Square, but they've rekindled their brotherly relationship owing to your silver tongue. That'll come in handy. Well, it wasn't much trouble, really. I applaud you helping Poe Pickett find his flat purse. Society hardly cares for the economically downtrodden, and it takes an especially conscientious cove to be service. It just felt like the right thing to do. Besides, it's not like I acted out of character. I was rather impressed by how you saved the cut purse from that awful ladsman in the underground. By helping Annika, you set aside your own desires in order to make a difference. How did you know? Word gets around. So it does, especially in the east of London. Your knack for subterfuge will come in handy. You snuck into the manor with the help from the Ratcatcher and reunited Annika with her companions. Come in handy for what? It sounds like you're about to offer me a job. Indeed, Mr. Daly. But before I do, wouldn't you like to ask me a few questions? Let's ask about the serum's special properties. So what's so special about the serum anyways? It was originally Dr. Wainwright's brainchild, if you'll excuse the pun. A highly refined extract of werewolf blood. The exact science behind it would take hours to explain. Give me the short version. The serum temporarily imparts superhuman strength and cell regeneration, abilities which an active werewolf is privy to. Fascinating. The good doctor chose Benthel House for his round of experiments because the subjects were readily accessible. Might I add that I also had little to no recourse to outside aid. Society hasn't come around to doing this sort of research, so I've had to keep it hush-hush. Ask why the serum is needed for the surgery. Why did Silas want to use the serum to implant the augmentation in my mother's brain? One of the beneficial properties of the serum is to prevent a patient's system from attacking foreign objects, such as metallic implants. Gives me a headache just to imagine it. In this case, it would have been Silas's determination core, modified from his prototype used on automatons, so that it could be used on an organic being. Let's ask for more details about the Sovereign Syndicate. You said you handle tasks, and that you're here to gather agents. There must be more you can tell me about the Sovereign Syndicate. In case it couldn't have been any more bloody vague. I can reveal only a limited amount. The Syndicate is a secret governmental organization answering to the office of the Queen and no one else. We advance the interests of the Empire whenever a situation is politically fraught or an enemy is particularly resourceful. You're spies then. A crude term to describe a very sophisticated operation, but I suppose it will do for now. If we are spies, we are kings among spies. Very few know of the Syndicate's existence, and almost no one knows the identity of its agents. I'm done asking questions. Do I really want to get tangled up with this blackguard? He spends his whole life behind a mask. He's plainly a capable and intelligent fellow. I could do with a few more friends like that. And he can handle himself. Would be nice to have a bit of power on my side for a change. So, will you accept my offer? Okay, it sounds like a good offer, but furthering the goals of the Empire. That just very strongly goes against what I am all about. Like, that's just straight up imperialist, and doing like quote-unquote dirty deeds might mean some horrible things. Yes, he's masked as, making the world better and all that, but I absolutely do not trust the Empire, the British Empire. I know what they've done in real life, and it's horrible. Sorry, I refuse. Knowing what precious little about you that I do, I must categorically refuse your offer. Is that so? Despite all this skullduggery, perhaps he's a gentleman after all. Simple as that. If that's your choice, so be it. You could have done great things with us, Atticus. Should you change your mind, well, don't worry about finding me. I'll find you. That's a terribly comforting thought. It was a short walk back to the ferry to leave with the rest of the party guests. I made sure to grab a spare bottle of wine from the cellar while everyone was distracted before I left. I stole 4 bottles of wine. I'd have taken more, but 4 were all that would fit in my pockets. Back in London proper, the sun peaked the horizon, burning away the fog and replacing it with unwelcome light. So I headed back to a pleasant shadow in Beggar's Lane, where I knew I could hide from the sunrise with my dearest friend, alcohol. A perfect ending to this troublesome story. Okay. And what's with Teddy? So Teddy entered that place and we never see him again? Okay. Sorry if I sound a bit flustered right now, simply because nothing happened with Teddy, I guess. I liked the game. I really did. It was very enjoyable. A fun little RPG. Yeah, I had a good time with it. But I'm wondering why Teddy just walked to the door and then nothing happened. Did he die off screen? Was he watching from the shadows? I don't know. Was he just there just in case Atticus doesn't arrive? You know, in case something goes wrong with Atticus' storyline. That if Atticus can show up, then maybe Teddy can. I don't know how far this game can branch. But that's my theory at the moment, but it's still a bit strange. It's still a bit strange. Yeah, but other than that weird loose end in the end, I liked it. I really liked it, yeah. Okay, I will wait to see if there's anything after the credits, but to be honest, I doubt it. And if there isn't, well, you know what, I'll cut here and I'll see you either at the main menu or if something happens at the after the credits. Okay, so here we are at the main menu. There was nothing after the credits, but to be honest, I didn't really expect anything. So yeah, that was that. Thank you very much for watching, and maybe I'll see you in a different series. Goodbye!